today for this month's What's New in Business Central webinar. Showing you some of the highlights from the week 2 update. Well, let's get started. And your speakers today are Danisha from T-Vision and myself, Mario, Technical Account Manager for Insight Software. So for the time that we have, let's go quickly over this presentation and start the demo.
So Mario,
yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So if anybody does have any questions today, please do pop them in the chat or into the question box. I will be monitoring those as we go along. Mario will be putting your camera on today as well.
All right. Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah.
Thank you. Brilliant.
There is.
Excellent.
All right.
Great.
Okay,
so I'll pass back to our expert from Insight Software. As I said, my name is Danisha Jolliffe. I'm from T-Vision Technology and I will be facilitating. So do ask your questions. I'll keep a note of them and pass them over as and when we've done the demo. Over to you.
All right. So once again, welcome to our webinar, Streamline Your Financial Reporting Budget. Looks like we have a good turnout. So let's get started. In this webinar, we'll be discussing how in today's uncertain market, the need to build a resilient team that can adapt quickly to any market changes is greater than ever, right? Finance teams have been dealing with uncertain markets for the last several years, resulting in an increase in demand for them to do more with less. This is where Jet Reports and Jet Analytics come in. They help our teams to streamline financial reporting, do more with less in a targeted and less reactive way. So let's get started. All right, the agenda for today would be a little housekeeping, a little introduction. Then we will go straight to the demo and show you how then our products have helped others. And then we will end up with a brief summary. So first things first, who we are. Well, Insight Software Solutions are purpose-built to help the Office of the CFO make sense of the data. Our goal is to tackle the complicated task of getting your enterprise data into your hands so that you can make better business decisions. Insight Software have a global presence, over 500,000 daily users, and our solutions are compatible with over 150 ERPs. For the Microsoft Dynamics space, that is going to be the Jet suite of applications. This you can see a quick company facts and figures about Insight Software. Let's dive into Jet Reports. Basically, Jet Reports is a purpose-built for Microsoft Dynamics ERPs, and because of your years of experience, we know the complex data structures inside and out. And Jet Reports will eliminate the need for manual data dumps and enable your team to build refreshable ad hoc reports or by using easy to configure pre-built templates. And then in terms of Jet Analytics, with Jet Analytics now, you will be reporting against a pre-built data warehouse and cubes versus directly against your ERP, whereas what Jet Reports does. One of the many strengths here is that this model will optimize reporting and take a lot of the hefty lifting of an expense normally associated with configuring the data in the backend. So with Jet Analytics, what you can find out of the box is our pre-built standard project for Business Central that will allow you to quickly deploy and execute our project for a set of cubes like finance, inventory, payables, purchase, receivables, sales, and even manufacturing, right? So out of the box, we will have a complete solution that will cover a high percentage of your needs. Actually, during this demo, we will see how easy it is to customize this standard project so that you can include your customizations. So that's the theory. Let's go ahead and let's see a quick demo. This is it's going to be a quick overview for the time that we have of our solutions. First, let's start with Jet Reports. So allow me to quickly show you first that out of the box, all our customers will have access to our sample reports library, where we have more than 130 reports and dashboards built by us on a standard Business Central ERP, compatible perfectly with Excel and Power BI. Out of the box, like I said, and allow me to start with one of these sample reports. For example, this income statement year to date versus last year to date. That it's gonna out of the box, like I say, work perfectly with Business Central ERP. So, first of all, Jet Reports is an Excel add-in that it's going to allow you to connect to multiple databases. By this way, I will be using Business Central, and the data comes straight from the live environment. That is the main advantage of Jet Reports. Whatever data we get, it's live on the ERP, right? So, there are different types of users in Jet Reports. We have designers, those are the one in charge of the designing the reports, obviously, and then viewers, the ones that actually work with the reports, update the data, schedule the reports, and even do drill down on the data to find the details behind the figures that we see. So as a viewer, if I run this report, this simple report, income statement dashboard, and an income statement by period, contains just one simple reporting filter, which is the reporting date, but that by default is going to propose me today's date. Whenever I run this report, the first thing that is going to happen is that Jet Reports is going to check the security, right? We implement the security by going live to the Business Central environment. We implement the security behind the user roles, right? So it is important to mention that the security is being taken care of. So whatever data you can see within Business Central is going to be implemented with your reports. And whenever I click run, we are going to get live data. By using the power of flow fields in Business Central, we can, in a great performance, get the data back and see, this income statement dashboard plus income statement by period, in this case month, with live data. One of the main features that I always point out is that if you question any data returned by Jet Reports, you can always use the drill down, depending on the configuration. It's going to open up the web client, connect to the company at hand, because it is multi-company. This is important, and it's going to show you the entries that makes up this data, right? So for whatever data, it doesn't matter, for whatever data, if we question that particular data, it's going to take us straight to Business Central and show us the resulting entries that make up that data, right? So it is quite straightforward for our viewers. In terms of our designers, allow me to quickly go back to Excel and show you how, besides our complete library of reports, anyone without any IT knowledge can be independent in terms of reporting, right? So if I go from a blank spreadsheet and start creating a report, for the time that we have, I could be showing many different types of reports, but since this is targeted for financial teams and accounting departments, allow me to quickly show you fast financials. It is a really powerful wizard that is going to allow you to have a complete overview of your chart of accounts. Everything in regards to the account number, the name, the balance or amount, budget, variance and variance percentage of your chart of accounts. It's connected directly within Excel, which is the front end of choice of most of our accounting and finance departments, right? So allow me to include the headers. And here we have a live view of our chart of accounts. So let me quickly select a group of accounts, for example, from group, from group 4 all the way to group the end of 5. Here we go. Okay. All right. All the way to 5999. Just by selecting Shift, we can set a range of accounts, or by using Control, you can set different types of accounts, right? So just by dragging and dropping onto Excel, we are able to have a complete report with many filters, right? Checking the security once again, we get our report directly onto Excel with all that that implies, right? All the knowledge that you already have about this great front end called Excel is at your fingertips, right? You can create and use any formulas or Excel features to enhance your report. So if I run this report, it has created many filters. Obviously, the start date allow me to specify an start date, the end date based on your date format, right? We also have filters for the global dimension one with lookups to the database. This particular Business Central database has these values for the global dimension one. Let's select, for example, sports. As you can see, all the database operators that you already know are compatible with your reports. So let's say that we want sports, corporate, and events, for example. Also for the global dimension too. This does not mean that we are limited to only the two global dimensions, but this wizard only takes into consideration the two global dimensions, but we have access to all the advanced dimensions. It is multi-company, like I mentioned before. Since my default company is Kronos Corp UK, this is the value proposed, right? We will be playing with this filter later on so that I can show you how it is multi-company. And then since I specified that I want a budget, I can filter this report by a version of that particular budget. If I run this report, this is the result that we get. Hold on, let me specify it. Yeah, I got the date wrong. So, all right, here we have some data. Once again, the drill down is always available depending on your configuration. You can open up the web client, open up the role tailor client, the classic client. It is compatible with any version, or even the Jet Data Grid for those who don't have access to any of the NAB or BC clients. So if we check out, for example, this account for the Jetcore UK company, it's going to take us to the UK company. Perfect. What our finance teams would can do is obviously they can change the company. Remember those 10 million? Let's set up Kronos USA, and instead of those 10 million, we get the 18 million. Right? Another thing that they can do is to include all companies. Right? By specifying asterisk, they can include all companies. But what if they want to see the breakdown of every company? Here comes the flexibility and power of Jet reports. Since we are based on a spreadsheet like Excel, we can always go to a database by using this wizard called the browser, where we have a complete access to all the data structure, even customized tables, extension fields, and so on. We can set up favorite tables, and one of my favorite tables has always been the company table, right? So since we are in Excel, we have different variables to structure our reports. We have rows, columns, sheets. In this case, let's do the breakdown in columns for that company, right? So we can always specify that we want the company name. Let's place it over here. We can change the format. We are in Excel, so just as quickly as this, we can change the format so that we can see the companies in columns, right? We have the total here. Remember that the filter for the company is asterisks. So we are getting the total, but if we want to see the breakdown, let me show you how intuitive it is with Jet reports. For example, I could perfectly copy this formula and paste it here, but I want to show you the power of the GL formula. Out of all our formulas, the GL formula, specific for those finance and accounting users, will allow you to specify whatever balance, budget, credit, or debit for any account, which can be either set up by hand by using this dropdown, or it could be perfectly an account cell reference. So, for example, J13, the start date, we can find it over here. Perfect. The end date, it's going to be over here. Perfect. And in terms of the global dimensions, like in my case, business group code and customer group code, that will be decided by the user. So it's what we call report option. So let me pass it along whatever the viewer chooses for this particular report. Exactly the same for the global dimension too. But in terms of the company, instead of passing along what the user chooses, which will be on this left-hand side, instead of that, we can choose as a reference, thus obtaining what the breakup per company, right? So if I copy and paste, let me give some format. If I copy and paste this value, we can see those 10 millions from JCorp UK, right? Remember, this would be the total amount for all companies. Easily, we get those 29 million that we see per company. So in a quick way, we can do any multi-company report, regardless of whether the chart of accounts it's shared among companies or not. It doesn't matter, right? So this is a quick overview of your reports. Basically, we go live to the ERP data, and the main advantage of that is that we get the most updated data on our report. There are little drawbacks about this approach. The first one is that in order to create some complex reports, the performance is going to be affected. There will be some specialized designers needed to create some complex reports, because by accessing a highly normalized data structure, uh, you will be forced to be linking tables and joining tables together. So it takes a little knowledge of the data structure. Plus, accessing any ERP live is going to provide multiple versions of the truth. So this is where general analytics comes in really handy. So let me quickly jump to general analytics and show you that not only you can escalate from reporting, but with a complete business intelligence solution like data analytics, which, by the way, includes Jet reports as the reporting solution, will allow you to create and synchronize multiple data sources and create a data warehouse specialized for reporting, and a set of cubes, like I mentioned before, for higher management to have a complete overview of the data and create dashboards with many dimensions, so that they can take that business intelligent decision based on the data. So a quick overview of our standard project, which is what you're looking at right now, a project created by us using Business Central. We basically start from data sources compatible with any data source. Actually, the purpose of Gen Analytics is to include multiple data sources, not only dynamics, but whatever data source. In this particular case, we are just using dynamics. We could use multiple dynamics data sources, which is quite common in our market, in our sector, to have legacy system based on NAV or Navision or versus a Navision, and a live environment of Business Central, for example. Just to keep things simple, from the data source, we are using these tables, right? These are the main tables, all the transactional tables and the master tables. And we extract this information onto what we call a staging database, where we do transformations. Basically, what we do is denormalize the data structure. In an ERP, we will find, a table for each and every concept. It is perfect to input data, but not to extract data for analyzing purposes. Right. So a quick example on the customer table, for example, we have the country region code physically in that particular table. But in order to do a proper analysis, we need names, right? We need descriptions. So we do lookups in this particular database to, for example, get the country name, right? So we are denormalizing the data structure. This is a quick example. Once we have all the information that we need, filter, clean, and only the information that we need, we then create a data warehouse. This is especially aimed at for those reporting users. The power of the data warehouse is the power of synchronizing, unifying different tables. For example, in order to talk about properly sales transactions in Business Central, we have created just one table, sales posted transactions, with one version of the truth. There's only one sales field, there's only one cost field. But if we take a look at where the information is coming, here on the right hand side, we can see that using a standard Business Central, you will have to keep in mind the sales shipment line, you will have to keep in mind the sales invoice line, return receipt line, sales credit memo line, service shipment line, service invoice line, service credit memo line, and the value entry table. So here we are unifying 8 different tables onto just one table. So this makes up the reporting really easy for those non-IT users. And for the rest of the users that they want to have a complete overview with the greatest performance ever of all the data, all their multiple data sources, we have OLAP, which basically an OLAP server, once again, Microsoft technology. Basically, we create these 6 cubes: finance, inventory, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales, where we have measures, which is the numeric field that we want to analyze the data by, and dimensions, which is how we want to slice and dice that data, right? So the result is that if we deploy and execute this out of the box, we can jump to any front end, right? We have focused our efforts on the back end, how we do the ETL process, which is the cumbersome process of any business intelligence project. We can use any of our the already created dashboards. For example, this sales overview by customer, maybe a finance income statement using multiple pages with details, revenue, cost of goods sold, gross margin, operating expenses, EBIT, and so on, right? There's no limit. But let me create a dashboard from scratch from this development, and then quickly include a customization, like include a field that we didn't include in our standard project, because that's the next obvious question. So the first thing that Power BI is going to ask us is to get the data. So the first thing that I'm going to do, instead of going straight to the database, let's go straight to analysis services, which is where the cubes that General Analytics creates holds the data, right? So let me connect to our server. In this case, I have everything localhost, but it could be perfectly up in Azure, up in the cloud. There's no problem with that. Let me connect live to those cubes. Let me connect to, this is the particular server that I'm using, BC OLAP, out of all the servers, OLAP servers that I have. Let me connect to the sales cube. Let me click OK. And from here, the really important thing about Power BI is this right-hand side, how we can provide to all our team the same data set, the same data structure, so that everyone is working with the same version of the truth. For example, let me create, obviously, let me analyze all that data by date, just by saying that we want the sales figure. In this particular case, since my operating system is in Spanish, it's translated to Spanish, but depending on your OS, it's going to be automatically translated all these measures and dimensions. So let me include the sales amount, the cost amount, but then we want this by period. So let me select a date hierarchy so that we can quickly have a visual showcasing these two trends, right? So any visualization, for example, is include a tree view with the sales amount per, for example, let's say that we want from the item, we want the item category, right? Let's also include another visualization, also since we have the map, the country of our customers. Let me include the sales amount, obviously, but in this case, by, instead of item, let me jump to the customer and say that we want the country. And use that country as the legend. We don't have much space. Let me place this over here. This is just quick Power BI. We can then, for example, create a filter by company, for example. So the next obvious question is, okay, how do we modify our existing project, right? So let me show you how quickly we can include a custom field. For example, out of all the fields that we use, of all the tables, let me quickly show you how we can, for example, jump to the customer table under data sources. Here we have the complete data structure, and we have selected the customer table, but not all the fields, right? So imagine that, I don't know, for example, we want the currency code from the customer to be a dimension that we will eventually use in that dashboard that I have just created. So let me just select currency code. And what happens is that in our staging database, it's going to tell us that there is a new change under the customer table, and we have the currency code, right? The next obvious the next step would be in our data warehouse. Here we have a look of all the fields that we are synchronizing. Let me just drag and drop and include currency code. We can change the name. We don't have to stay with that particular name. Currency, for example. I put it in uppercase so that it's easier for us to see it when I deploy and execute this and then go to Power BI. So under the last step, which is the all up set of things, under the customer dimension, we have different levels, right? We have the business posting group, the city, the country, the customer, customer number, customer posting group, and so on, right? So let's include a new level. So just by dragging and dropping onto this dimension, is going to be implemented automatically. It proposes the same name that I gave to the data warehouse, currency in uppercase. Just click OK. And it's going to automatically, since this customer dimension is implemented on the sales cube, it's going to automatically build customer. It's going to automatically be included. So let me deploy and execute this complete development. This is another good thing because this process of executing, deploying and executing our project, it's going to be fairly quick, even though we are talking about more than 500,000 records per company in GL table. It's using multi-thread, right? So it's using all the resources that this particular machine has. And in less than a minute for this particular demo database, is gonna deploy and execute the complete project for us, which, by the way, can be scheduled on a daily basis or whatever basis we need to use. So quickly, let me running out of time, but let me quickly show you how we can. All right, it's already there. So if we go back to Power BI, if we refresh this data, check out how that new No dimension is going to be implemented. If we go to the, here it is, currency. There we have it, right? So this is just a matter of including a new visualization. For example, let me use this dimension by currency and sales amount, obviously. There it is. So this is a quick overview of Jet Reports and General Analytics. Remember that General Analytics includes Jet Reports. So for those of you who want to take the next step, count on us for whatever you need, so we can go in a much detailed demo and even proof of concept if needed. So back to you. Let's see if we have any questions. But before we do, let me tell you why customers invest in Jet Reports products. Basically, our partners and customers invest in Jet for many reasons, especially to help simplify and mistake-proof the data from errors we commonly see when with overcomplicated and manual data exports. Additionally, these processes creates a smooth and small learning curve for new employees who need to learn how to create the reports and are responsible for providing valuable data for the business. So basically, the summary is one source of the truth, data that you can trust, short time to value with existing teams and onboarding new employees, and spend your valuable time analyzing the data. So quickly, in 30 minutes, we have jumped to Q&A. So I don't know if we have questions in the chat.
We have had a few. We've had a few questions,
Okay.
Mario. So thank you for that. And obviously, we
Sure.
appreciate that half an hour is not long enough to do Jet Insight Software justice. And that's why if anyone does want a deeper dive, then we'd be happy to arrange that for you. We did have a couple of questions, and one of them is actually a really good one. At what point should a client or a user think of purchasing Jet Analytics? I know a number of people on the call already have Jet Reports, but at what point should they think about purchasing Jet Analytics as well or instead of?
Well, the best, there's no specific scenario where you should jump to general analytics, but as soon as you have multiple data sources, I don't know, you have to combine Business Central with other solutions, like for example, for salaries or tax compliance data sources. Uh, and as soon as you reach the 1 million record mark, which would be a limit in Excel, then it is a good time for to jump to general analytics or migrations. Remember that we can unify in that data warehouse any legacy system with the production environment, the live production environment.
Okay, thank you. And also, someone asked what training is required for Jet Analytics.
Most of our cases would be that one person is training general analytics, which is we're talking about a 2-day training, and typically 2 users training Power BI, which is usually just 2 hours training. Power BI users can easily build reports in a dashboard view.
Okay. Also, we've had a question asking about when you deploy Jet Analytics, how do you migrate that data?
Well, the good thing about deploying general analytics is that there's no need to migrate the data. We just point general analytics to the data source, and when the ETL process is run, it will finally load the data into your data models ready for reporting.
Okay, great. And you've already mentioned, someone also said, when you buy Jet Analytics, do you then need to buy Jet Reports? But you've already answered that question saying that they come together.
It includes your reports. So we cover from reporting to business intelligence.
Great, thank you. That's the questions that we had. So I would just like to thank you for stepping into the breach and helping us out with this webinar, because I know originally we had somebody else planned. So thank you very much for that, Mario. Thank you everybody for attending. The webinar will be available on demand on our website as always, and will come out as a link within our newsletter. And if anyone does have any further questions or you'd like a deeper dive, please do get in touch. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.